Hello, I'm Trevor Alonso, and this is my review of American Ninja 2, The Confrontation. After the success of the first movie, Cannon Films wanted a sequel. Normally a film company would want more from a sequel, and it would put more money into the budget. Not Cannon Films. Cannon wanted to spend less and make something bigger, because that makes sense, to make a higher profit. Okay. The director of the first one, Sam Furstenberg, was coming back, along with the stars Michael Dudikoff and Sam James. Originally, they wanted the plot to be Joe and Jackson opening up a martial arts school in an urban setting after completing their service in the army. Then ninjas would arrive. That idea was scrapped once Cannon Films set the location of the filming in South Africa, and you can't really make South Africa look like the urban setting of America. It was set there mainly because someone found out a legal tax loophole. At the time, when a movie is filmed in South Africa, the production could claim double the budget in taxes, meaning if the movie's budget was $2 million, they could claim $4 million in taxes. So we're actually lucky Cannon Films didn't just start filming everything there. This time the movie takes place in a remote Caribbean island on a US embassy. We see a couple of Marines on Libo get beat up by some henchmen who apparently work for ninjas that just take them away. Why did the ninjas need henchmen to beat up Marines? It turns out one of the Marines sold out his buddies for some reason. In between movies, Joe and Curtis have been promoted and changed of MOS since the first movie. Now they are both sergeants and Army Rangers. They were sent by Washington, D.C. to investigate the disappearance of Marines. Of course, this doesn't sit well with the Marines there.
Army? You guys are supposed to be Marines.
Sorry.
We are introduced to the commanding officer, Wild Bill. Okay, I know I made G.I. Joe allegories with the first one. There is a character named Wild Bill. They happen to have the same stash. That's about it. Bill gives a BS reason why mostly no one is in uniform.
We try to dress as little like Marines as possible because there are certain left-wing elements that stir up trouble against us.
I'm more than sure the real reason is Cannon Films couldn't afford many Marine Corps uniforms. Wild Bill informs Joe and Curtis about the situation. They ask who last saw them. Bill mentions it was Taylor, who claims they disappeared when he looked away. Somehow Taylor isn't a suspect yet. Then it's mentioned that Taylor married a local girl, now has a lot of problems, and has been acting weird a lot lately. And he's the last one to see the Marines that disappeared. Okay, why isn't he a suspect again? Why isn't anybody questioning this before the Rangers show up? It is mentioned that a local kid by the name of Toto saw the Marines picked up by men in black suits covered from head to toe. That's when it hits Joe and Curtis that maybe that's the reason they are here.
Men in black suits. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Taylor and a few other Marines invite Joe and Curtis to go water skiing. Joe is of course suspicious of Taylor. Of course, Taylor acts fishy and disables the boat. So they have to pull up to the nearest island. As everyone is about to go swimming, Joe tells Curtis to watch Taylor. Joe fixes the boat and checks out the island, only to find a bunch of ninjas awaiting to attack. This was a setup, but they weren't expecting the American Ninja. As the fight goes on, Curtis finds Joe and joins in to help. Joe and Curtis get away by jumping off a cliff onto a boat. Fun fact, Steve James told Michael Dudikoff that he can't swim right before filming the jump into the water. Dudikoff said, "That's not good," yelled out cut. James's stuntman was brought in, and right before filming, he admitted he can't swim either. So, Steve James did the jump. Michael Dudikoff said that he'll pull him up right away, which he did. It is here that we meet our new Storm Shadow, Tojo Kin, the head ninja of the bad guys. Joe and Curtis inform Bill that they suspect ninjas are behind this. Bill admits it's a little hard to take in the information. Taylor starts to figure out that Joe is onto him. So he tells Joe to meet him at the Blind Beggar Bar, and that he'll let him know what's going on, which looks like the place he could catch chlamydia. Of course, Joe is suspicious. This is the bar that the Marines went missing at. So he goes into the back and is stopped by some thugs. The same thugs from the beginning. Joe is able to easily defeat them. Taylor admits that the bad guys took his wife. That's why he's been helping them. He tells Joe that the big drug dealer in charge is named the Lion, working from a nearby island called Blackbeard Island. Taylor is killed by ninjas. Joe informs Bill. Bill decides it's time to ask the ambassador if they can go to the island. But there's a governor's ball. Bill does invite Joe and Curtis to the governor's ball, but they have to wear Marine uniforms in order to not be suspicious to anyone watching. But Joe and Curtis were actually noticed coming in at the beginning of the movie. Right away at the ball, Inspector Snye accuses Joe of Taylor's murder, since he was the last one that the locals saw together. Joe is accused of a crime he didn't commit. Again, a woman by the name of Alicia Sanborn shows up. She points out the Lion. The governor is of course with the Lion, and of course the inspector. The governor has her taken away. Wild Bill gives the orders to Joe and Curtis to go save her. This leads back to the blind beggar, which starts one of the most fun bar fights in Dress Blues on film.
U.S. Marines! How you doing, babe? Get out my way. Give me some skin. Yes!
They do save the girl. Bill and Curtis start working on a mission to go to the island. While Joe goes to look for the girl, he finds her by using Toto to find her. Joe pays Toto to tell him what her girl is. We find out that the Lion is not only a big drug dealer, he also kidnapped her father and is forcing him to do experiments on people, which is genetically making unstoppable ninjas that are stronger and have no fear. Okay, I know I make G.I. Joe connections before, but did G.I. Joe The Rise of Cobra get the idea from this? So the plot of the second movie is better, but still cheesy. There is a lot more going on in this one, but the plot isn't complicated. It just has a lot more going on, but somehow on a lower budget, which is what Canon Films normally does. If you want to skip spoilers and go to my rating, click on a timecode below. Now for spoilers. Joe and Alicia go to the island to get her father. The Lion is showing a demonstration of his experiments. Tojo, remember you're killing your own men? Joe and Alicia infiltrate the compound by wearing ninja gear. They are able to save Alicia's father. He tells Joe where the Marines are, and that millions of heroin is about to be shipped to America, because the stakes weren't high enough. Then Joe actually ninja magics his own ninja uniform on. I'm not kidding. Meanwhile, the Marines and Curtis seize the compound. Seriously, Canon Films, could you not even get utilities for the end of the movie? Wait a minute. Is that why they called him Wild Bill? Come on, this is just a G.I. Joe movie. Cue the music.
Yo, Joe! He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there. It's G.I. Joe against Cobra, the enemy, fighting to save the day. He never gives up. He's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there.
Joe and the captured Marines face off against Cobra. I mean the Lion's ninjas. The Lion says he wants Joe for his experiments to make ninjas modeled after him, but the professor destroys the lab while killing the Lion. and probably the men in those tubes there. Curtis has a big fight with a badass finishing move.
Stay down!
Joe faces off 1-to-1 against Tojo. Snake Eyes kills Storm Shadow. I mean, Joe kills Tojo. The movie ends with everybody celebrating. Wild Bill offers to pull some strings to get Joe and Curtis into the Marine Corps. They respectfully decline. Joe and Alicia end up together. I guess the Colonel's daughter from the last movie isn't a thing anymore. Curtis says goodbye to a girl, which sounds like it wasn't going to last anyway.
I'll write you.
No, you won't.
I'll call you.
No, you won't.
Right. Just remember me.
She probably won't. Joe gives Toto a knife for helping him.
Is it for me?
Yeah, it's for you.
All right.
This movie is awesome. I do like it better than the first one. Is it flawless? No, by no means. This is just as 80s cheesy as the last one. Again, this works great as a G.I. Joe movie. I remember thinking as a kid that this is basically G.I. Joe. I do have to say as a Marine, I am annoyed with the inaccuracies. But I get it, it's just a fun 80s action movie. It's not taking itself seriously. The music this time around is better, not mostly a trumpet the whole time. This is 80s awesomeness turned up. If you like action movies, you'll love this. If you love 80s action movies, you'll love this. If you love G.I. Joe the cartoon, you'll love this. If you love 80s ninja movies, you'll love this. That's why I'm giving this a 9 out of 10 ninja stars. I highly recommend this, especially if you like canon films. Go check it out. Thank you for watching my video.